Hey guys, it's Denver here, and in this video I'm going to go over your training plan so you understand it better and you can utilize it straight away to minimize confusion and questions. So basically, when you get your plan, it's going to be in a PDF format. The reason why I put it in PDF is just so it's easy to access or view on pretty much any computer, laptop, phone, etc. And it's always going to look the same. So basically, the first thing you see is your training plan basics, so your frequency, intensity, the type of training, and the duration. So the type could change between whether it's strength focused or it's hypertrophy focused or conditioning focused or things of that nature. The next page is going to give you the program summary. So the program summary will show you things like the rep range for the first or major exercise, the rep range for secondary exercises, and the rep range for supersets if you have them in your program. So this area here could change depending on individual specifics with your training plans. But then the next area is going to show you the total sets, the rest intervals, which will also be shown on an individual exercise basis further down into the program, but the outline's just there as well. The tempo of training, so concentric explosive means that the part where you're pushing hard, where you're fighting against the weight, you want it to be explosive, and then the part where you're breathing in or you're controlling the movement, the eccentric part, you want to have a 2 to 3 second rest period for the most part. Again, that will change between programs. And then it's going to show you the frequency. So this particular program starts at 3 days per week and then it moves to 4 days per week. The next section is program breakdown. So this just highlights exactly what the focus is on each training session, whether it's 5 days per week or 3 days per week. So this one in particular is full body 3 days per week. Monday will be a squat focus, Wednesday overhead press focus, and then Friday is a deadlift focus. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it has HIIT cardio, so high intensity interval training cardio sessions. This one in particular says the program moves from 3 days per week of weight training into 4 days per week of weight training from weeks 5 onwards, which we'll review as we go through. Now, the resistance load selection protocol. This is your RPE, so your rate of perceived exertion, as it says right there. So this is a scale to help us to choose what weight we think is appropriate for our training. Now I'm just going to move into the training plan to give you a quick example. If I just slide down to here, you'll see RPE is listed right there, and back squat being your first exercise, 5 sets of 10 at an RPE of 9. So if we look at that model, it's going to say RPE of 9 is extremely hard, but you can do 1 rep left. So there's 1 rep left in the tank, or you can perform 1 more rep. So it's not to failure. If you see RPE 9, select a load that you feel would be appropriate, so you could probably still do 1 more rep. If you see RPE 10, that means that you want to choose a weight that you think you can only do the prescribed amount of reps and most likely no more than what's prescribed. So that's essentially training to muscular failure with no reps left in the tank. And then throughout the programs, typically when trying to build muscle, the goal would be to stay between 8 and 10. And when we're trying to back things off, it will go down to a 7. And that would be like in a deload week where you're training a little bit less intensity and lower volume to try to recover to ensure overall progress is made. Typically a deload week in that nature would be every 4th week or every 8th week, depending again on the training program. Now, the warm-up sequence is pretty simple. It says to use the percentage scale based on the weight you expect to use on your first working set. 1 to 2 warm-up sets for the first exercise of each muscle group is ideal. So, if you're doing a full body workout, like this program is, it says you should do 1 to 2 warm-up sets for the first exercise of each muscle group. So if we just slide down here, you'll see that back squat is legs, leg press is legs, lunges is legs, leg curl is legs. So the first 4 exercises are all leg-based movements. So that tells us that we only have to warm up for the back squat, and then everything else we can go straight into our working sets. This exercise here is a back movement and this one is a shoulder movement. So we want to warm up for 1 to 2 sets before we go into those 4 sets of 12 for both of these exercises. Now, where it says here, 10 reps at 60% of the planned first set, what that means is if you think, for a back squat as an example, if you think that you can do 100 kilos for 5 sets of 10 at an RPE of 9, then you would go 100 kilos times 60% for 10 reps. Then 100 kilos times 70% for 8 reps, and then 100 kilos times 80% for 6 reps. So that's a way of warming up based on what you plan to lift. Now this warm-up sequence is totally optional. It doesn't have to be utilized, but it's just there to give you a bit of guidance. If your training program is strength specific, more than hypertrophy, then we are going to consider your 1 rep maxes, which has a column to the right hand side right there, and we're going to consider your load percentage. So if there are some strength movements and we know your 1 rep maxes for certain exercises, I would provide your 1 rep max and I would put it in this box right here, and the programming would be based off a percentage of your 1 rep max. So rather than guessing what weight to use for your back squat, for example, it will actually tell you exactly what to lift, because I would have put your 1 rep max right there and it would have worked out to be 65%, which would sit right there. Now, or right in the load column, I should say, in case you can't see the mouse cursor. So when it comes to strength focused programming, that load column on the right hand side will progressively move up. So you'll see in week 1 on this program in particular is 65%, then it moves up to 70%, then 75%, and then it goes down to 60% because week 4 is a deload week. Then it goes up to 67.5, 72.5, 77.5, which is the top end of the whole program, and then back down to 60%, which again is a deload week. So these load percentages will be effective if we know your 1 rep max, if you've provided that to me. If you haven't provided that to me, then I will leave these percentages here specific to your programming, and you'll just work out or write down your 1 rep max, what you think it is, and then just work out exactly what that is and choose that load right there. Now, moving back up again, you'll see that the structure of the program or programming will give you your day that you're lifting, all the exercises that you'll be doing in order of sequence, your sets, your reps, your RPE, and your rest periods right there. So that's in seconds, so 90 seconds right there. And then any notes that are specific to that exercise will be right here. Now this volume column right about here is once again specific to programming that is based on, well, basically a volume. The amount of volume right there will, if you were to type in exactly what you lifted in the load column, in any of these load columns, it would work out your volume for you. And that would be if you're in the Excel format of this program. So programs that are very specific or hands-on, people who want to track everything and track their volume would be able to grab the Excel version of this program, and then as they go, type in exactly what they lift, and that'll automatically tell them what their volume is, so their total volume per workout. Now, if you're tracking total volume, that's a good thing, because your total volume over each week should get higher and higher and higher, which means that you're increasing your total workload, which should result in greater muscle, greater strength, etc. If you're somebody who doesn't want to track their volume, it's not a very common thing to do for most people. All you have to do is to ensure that each week you're aiming to lift a bit heavier than you did previously, staying within your RPEs and still aiming for the sets and reps that are prescribed, but just trying to add a little bit more load. That will ensure that your volume is increasing on a weekly basis. Now the programming will also tell you how many reps that you're doing per workout, and that again will also change per week depending on the programming, depending on the structure. But it's just good to know your total reps that you'll be performing each week, and that will change on a weekly basis. Some weeks will be less reps because it's required or suggested or ideal for you to go heavier, so therefore you're not able to do as many reps, but the volume will still be higher just because of the heavier loads, and other weeks will be more reps. Now that is pretty much it. So I'm just going through this program. You'll see it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Everything is planned out there, and then the next week load percentage goes up, and then week 3 some rep range changes are made, load percentage goes up again, and then sets and reps are changed here again for the deload also with the load percentage change. And then from week 5 onwards it changes to a 4-day plan rather than a 3-day plan. And that is pretty much it. That's the basics of the training planning. It's designed in Excel. If you want the full version, the Excel version, I'm more than happy to provide that to you. PDF, once again, is just a simple, easy way to track things. And when you're looking to have everything planned for you, it's really important to actually know your 1 rep maxes, so then we can input that in there, right in the 1 rep max area and load area. So then when you see your planning and your programming, it'll have the exact numbers that you should be lifting for those major movements. Thanks for listening. I hope this has made sense to you and helped you to understand your training planning, and all the best with your results. Thanks.